Frankly, the hurdle in Malaysia is just lack of issuance. We need people to offer a product because we have buyers around the world interested in buying green product. And that isn't just bonds, it's also green sukuk. You know, we have an opportunity. This is meant to be the centre of Islamic finance, or at least that's the government's stated ambition, worthy ambition. Let's get some green sukuk on the table now to try and meet the interests of overseas buyers in northern markets who buy sukuk already. They have an appetite for investments that will help address the long-term risks they believe their portfolios face, the risks of climate change.
So what is the obstacle then to encouraging more of this issuance?
We need markets start with high-grade demonstration issuance pushed by government. Now, this is a very simple thing to do here. We're building a metro in Kuala Lumpur. We could be issuing green sukuk to finance that metro. Simple. We've got clean energy plans all around Malaysia. We could be issuing green sukuk to finance those. That gives an opportunity for investors to start voting with their money, which they want to do. And through that, we'll get a market going. And we'll create further opportunities for corporate issuers and other kinds of parties.
So do there need to be policies or incentives to help this?
Look, we need all of that. You know, let's face it, what are we looking at here? We're looking at a rapid transition of all economies, including the Malaysian economy, to be low carbon and climate resilient, right? We're going to have some pretty severe weather in the next 50 years. We've got to prepare for that. Our infrastructure's got to be able to cope with that. So there's a whole pile of work, things to be done by governments, everything from infrastructure planning of the right kind to incentives. But look, in the meantime, we just have to get going. And the way we get going is start getting a small market going, which engages investors and gets governments to understand that the investors are there, which at the moment they can't quite see. Get some product on the table, prove it, and then we'll get energy.
So why the hesitation now if it seems like such a good idea and the returns could be there?
Look, I'm not sure there is hesitation in the sense that the Prime Minister at yesterday morning's address mentioned the idea of green sukuk. Khazanah's doing a social bond, he called it a green bond. I'm yet to see what they mean by green in the education system, but at least the rhetoric's there. What we now need, though, is action. That social bond's been on the table, the social sukuk, I should say, has been on the table for the last year. We kind of need to get these instruments placed into the market, and we need a whole pipeline of them. And really that just requires a bit of activist steps by the various parties. I would suggest bring heads together, bang them together, and say, let's get some product out here in the next quarter. You know, we're missing a boat already. Wouldn't it be really cool if Malaysia was to go to the Paris Climate Change Conference with the world's first green sukuk financing climate solutions? That'd be so cool. I suspect we've missed that boat, but you know, you never know. Ministry of Finance could pull it off. They've got their act together now.
Okay, so transaction costs must be low. The right assets could be found. But what about the competitiveness of pricing and yield for a bond in the green space?
Oh, you asked the hard questions. Okay. Look, the truth is that when markets start, you need to look at flat pricing. And that's how all markets have started. So in China at the moment, flat pricing, which means you need to look for other advantages. This works for large treasuries who are interested in attracting new investors to their register, because that has downward pressure on pricing year after year, right? Next year, you've got a whole lot of new investors you can phone. You get loyalty. Banks like KfW in Germany discovered that their investors, who they thought they knew, started asking a lot of questions about their green assets, what they're doing. They got engagement, and that's called stickiness in the trade. That lowers your cost of capital. And then you get reputational benefits. That's step one. That's how we start. It's only when we get a bit of liquidity that we start seeing downward pressure. So internationally in Europe now, we've got about a 20 basis points advantage, according to Barclays, for green bonds in the secondary market. And that's playing out in downward pressure on primary market. That's how we get going. But you know, first steps first. We start off with people who can get benefits out of this, out of a flat pricing structure. And then year two, we start seeing pricing differentiation, which brings in other parties. And year three, we start bringing in incentives. And then we turbocharge things.